Change is slow. On top of that, the only people who completely embrace it are the ones who didn't like the status quo in the first place. I ought to keep that in mind when I hear the latest right-wing garbage that attacks Barack Obama, liberals, gay rights, alleged terrorists, or any other conservative targets, but I am only human. On top of that, I'm someone who's brought up to believe that people should be judged by their actions, rather than what color their skin is, what church they go to, or who they're in love with. Plus, I place a very high value on not being called a traitor just because I don't like a particular leader. So change may be hard, but it is often necessary, especially when the status quo has failed as spectacularly as it has in the last few years. Barack Obama recently marked the first 100 days of his presidency, and according to polls, most Americans are very happy with the job he's done so far. On top of that, America is gradually rebuilding its image as a diplomatic and innovative leader on the world stage, making amends with countries that previously wanted nothing to do with the U.S. But if you lurk on political internet forums and blogs for about 10 minutes, you'll find no shortage of people who are still utterly convinced that Obama is a Muslim terrorist, the Antichrist, a communist, or not even an American citizen. Honestly, this is so stupid and needless that the only good thing about it is its unpopularity. Leaving aside that his birth in Hawaii is well documented, at least to anyone actually interested in facts, let's think about this for a minute. Obama was in the running for president for years, so doesn't it make sense that if there was any serious question about where he was born, it would have been caught long before he took office? As for the Muslim theory, leaving aside that Obama's Christian faith is also well documented, the Constitution does not disqualify non-Christians from becoming president. So, in case it's not obvious, anyone using a mixed background to criticize Obama is just a bullshitting racist. Period. The Antichrist thing is just as stupid, especially since every world leader in recent memory has been compared to Satan at some time or another, and to my knowledge, its accuracy rate has been exactly 0. By the way, as long as the right wing is going to go out of its way to attack Obama as a so-called radical, I'd like to know what they think of the following people: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Winston Churchill, and John F. Kennedy. Not to mention conservative radicals like George W. Bush and Sarah Palin, or the all-time conservative poster boy, Jesus. Though, I mean the one that's actually written about in the Bible, not this one.
Fuckers! Fuckers!
Yeah, it's Super Mecha Death Christ 2000 BC version 4.0 beta, bitch!
Fuckers!
As for the communist thing, that only seems to be there at all because he's a socially progressive politician who wants to rein in extreme capitalism and not threaten to bomb every country in the world with brown people in it. That's right, I said, who wants some? Bring it on. Now look, I've gone on enough for one season about how America supposedly places a high value on social liberties, and anyone who can be bothered to read a non-American news source would see that Bush's Dr. Strangelove antics have made the U.S. into a sick joke on the world stage. As for trying to control capitalism, when the Great Depression hit, another sitting president did the same thing to get the economy afloat again. His name was Franklin Roosevelt. It was called the New Deal. And guess what? It worked. The whole reason why the economy imploded in the last few years is because several other governments since then have decided to undo everything FDR put in place. So going after Obama for trying to put it back is kind of like someone getting a triple heart bypass, then ordering the doctor to take it all out because he can't eat pork rinds anymore. In other words, if the extreme right wing wants to shoot itself in the foot, it can be my guest, but it shouldn't take the rest of the world with it. Another post-9/11 relic still lurking is the controversy over Canadian terrorism suspect Omar Khadr. Last week, a federal court ordered Prime Minister Stephen Harper to bring Khadr back to Canada for a proper trial on the grounds that he is not only being railroaded and tortured, but he is legally a child soldier, and thus we are obligated by law to show some leniency towards him. Being the neocon fearmonger that he is, Harper is refusing to do this, yet another sign that he doesn't give a horse's ass about Canadian law, claiming, among other things, that Khadr never was a child soldier. Excuse me, Harpo, but the guy was 15 when he was captured. How the hell is he not a child soldier? Oh, and who the hell are you to disobey an order from the federal court anyway? To those of us who have been keeping score, he thinks he can ignore the Canadian public, Parliament, our Constitution, the Governor-General, the actual economy, and finally our judicial system whenever he doesn't hear them say, "Yes, Emperor Harper. When is this asshole going to get overthrown?" Finally, there's the kerfuffle caused by American Homeland Security thanks to Secretary Janet Napolitano. She recently said in an interview on the CBC that several 9/11 hijackers came to the U.S. from Canada, making Canada a terrorist haven. This has been a long-standing position of the right wing thanks to a former CIA director who refused to say what proof he had of that claim, and you know something? That's completely untrue too. Sure enough, Napolitano took it back a few days later, claiming that she misunderstood the question, of course, but the damage had already been done. So not only is the idea of Canada as a terrorist playground in the air again, but it's being supported by none other than former presidential candidate John McCain. Now, even if it were true that the hijackers crossed over from Canada, it does beg the following question. Either way, the last stop for the terrorists was the American mainland. The onus of stopping the troublemakers at the border lies with the country about to receive them. So why did American security and immigration not stop these men from entering their country? What I'm about to close with, I basically said when I crowned Sarah Palin the douchebag of 2008, but I'm going to reuse it because apparently it's not sinking in. Look, you right-wing freedom lovers, please know my sarcasm. Maybe you haven't noticed, but a lot of people don't like you right now. In fact, a lot of people think that conservatives are completely clueless and psychotic. With statements like what's been coming out of your camp lately, you're not exactly proving them wrong. So if you ever want to legitimately get power again, the best thing you can do is dig your heads out of your asses, take a look at life around your caves, and get a grip in the real world. To be honest, you're looking more and more like Joe McCarthy all the time, and the only thing he's remembered for is being a paranoid idiot who ruined a lot of innocent lives and nearly tore a country apart. Enough said.